People like your son.
Yes.
He walks around as the wealthiest man in the world, bar none. Do they like him, really?
You know, I don't like the word wealthy or billionaire or things like that because I think it's degrading. I think he's the genius of the world. And people are loving him for that. They don't, when they see me, they go crazy because I'm his mother. But they love him because of what he does, and they respect him, and I'm very proud of him.
I can't imagine what it would be like to be his mother, watching him go from PayPal to rockets to Tesla to all just one thing after another. You ever surprised about what he's coming up with next?
Well, every time I'm surprised, and every time I say, don't take on something else. And he doesn't listen to me. And then he makes a big change. And this Neuralink, people saying, why I don't want something in my head. I said, well, you aren't paralyzed. Or you aren't blind.
Good point.
If you're blind and you don't want to see, then you can argue the point. You don't have to have a chip in your head. I think he's the genius of the world. And this Neuralink, people saying, why I don't want something in my head. I said, well, you aren't paralyzed. Or you aren't blind.
Good point.
If you're blind and you don't want to see, then you can argue the point. You don't have to have a chip in your head. A chip in your head. A chip in your head.
This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show, The Genius of the World. That is how Maye Musk is describing her son, Elon Musk. But you also heard in that news clip that aired on Fox, the subtle mentioning of the Neuralink and how they're almost starting to shame people into saying, well, you know, if you're blind and you don't want to see and you want to live the rest of your life blind, then you don't have to have a Neuralink implant or a brain chip in your head. But these are the types of things that are going to go over everyone's head because they're so focused in on the things that Elon Musk is doing side by side with Donald Trump, like tickling your ears about the border, tickling your ears about inflation, telling you that you're going to have free speech again when it should never have been an issue in the first place. Elon Musk is ushering in the collective consciousness. He's even said it himself. The collective consciousness is the internet of bodies. It is the hive mind. In some ways, social media, if people don't even realize it, has already begun the process of people uploading their consciousness. Now think about that. We've always heard the expression of uploading consciousness, where there's so many movies with predictive programming about uploading your consciousness. And everybody looks around and they go, uploading my brain into uploading my consciousness. Well, technically people are already in the process of doing that because they're being desensitized to it. And how do I mean? Well, every single thought that most people are having, they're posting on their Twitter account, their Facebook account, their Instagram account. It's more than just posting pictures. People are uploading their thoughts on pretty much every issue that's happening in their life. Thus, they're uploading their consciousness in a sense. So you heard Maye Musk, who all of a sudden, I love how Maye Musk dresses conservative, all of a sudden speaks conservative. And all these people out there who have probably seen Maye Musk in the past and said, whoa, Maye Musk looks just like the definition of what a witch looks like. Not just the way Maye Musk presents itself, but also all the pictures I'll show you of Maye Musk showing you occult symbology, putting hands over her eyes, putting the 666 over Maye Musk's eye. But it shows you how easy it is to deceive people in 2024. Because all they have to do is suddenly jump and align themselves with some of the ideologies that people out there like. They never need to see if these people are really behind them or not. All they have to do is say it on television, and everybody out there just automatically believes them. Just like how all of a sudden, all of these people who were liberal their entire life, who were Democrats their entire life, are now following God, from Donald Trump to Russell Brand to Elon Musk, right? So everybody out there now trusts in them, and that's exactly what they want. The genius of the world, Elon Musk, is deceiving you into joining humanity's collective consciousness. Elon Musk has even tweeted out, creating a Neuralink is the thing that really matters for humanity to achieve symbiosis with machines, the mixing of iron and clay, man and machine becoming one. You may remember a clip like this from the past. I've done dozens on Elon Musk, but this clip where he talks about how the Neuralink is going to be like a Fitbit in your brain with some tiny wires.
In a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. We feel confident about getting the link procedure, the installation of a link, done in under an hour. So you can basically go in the morning and leave the hospital in the afternoon. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires.
So obviously, if you're paying attention, if you're pulled out of the hive mind and you're watching everything going on around you, all of this technology that's been about the benefits of your health, from the Fitbit, like he just mentioned, these have all been conditioning mechanisms to get you to want and to get this technology inside of your body. Of course, it'll all be under the guise of pretending that this is for your long-term beneficial health. You'll be able to monitor what's going on inside of your body. You'll be able to, get an automatic alert from something inside of you that should tell you that something could be wrong. You need to go to a local hospital. These are all things that all tie in with just what you heard there, where literally it was almost like Maye Musk was shaming people out there, saying, hey, if you want to be blind or you want to be paralyzed the rest of your life, then guess what? Go ahead and be it. But if you want the cure, if you want to live forever, because eventually that's what they're going to tell you, because remember what the Bible says. In Revelation chapter 9, verse 6, during those days, people will seek death, but will not find it. They will long to die, but death will elude them. That's what comes next. First, they start telling you that by getting this technology inside of your body, you can cure autism, you can cure dementia, you can cure blindness. You want to talk about the Bible referencing false miracles? Look no further than that. And then when the television tells everybody out there, the people that got this procedure now can suddenly walk, now can suddenly see, and they're living their best lives. That's all the marketing it'll take for them to literally begin marketing the mark of the beast to people to get this technology inside of their bodies. Because the next stage will be them telling you that you could live an extra 20 years, 50 years. You could live better. And guess what? Now you're not aging anymore. Now you're not getting wrinkles anymore. You don't even need Botox anymore. Come on down for the mark of the beast, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Elon Musk and his moonchild mother, Maye Musk. That's right, moonchild, which I'll get into in a second. But let's take a look at Maye Musk, who's now conservative, who you would look at when you see magazine covers like, putting the 666 blatantly right over her eye. Was she a MAGA fan before MAGA? Oh, right, Maye Musk. What's her tie-in with all of these celebrities? Anyone even know why Maye Musk is famous? There's Maye Musk doing all-seeing eye symbolism, having blue hair. So you would look at Maye Musk, you'd be like, well, Maye Musk must be some type of Hollywood witch, right? You can see the all-seeing eye symbolism, hand over the eye, flower over the eye. You can see the transhumanism references with the Baphomet horns, literally showing you the Baphomet even. I mean, it's so in your faces that and it's so repetitive that you really, you might not want to believe it, but you can't ignore actual evidence presented to you unless you think that all these people holding their hand up over their eye isn't, some type of gang symbol symbolizing that they're in these secret societies, these covens, so to speak, because these are witches who are spell casting, and that's all technology really is. So other magazine covers doing the all-seeing eye symbolism, even was featured in one of Beyonce's music videos called Haunting, where you could literally see this ghoul that looks like, it just looks like a witch, which is exactly what Maye Musk is. More all-seeing eye symbolism. Even if you go through Maye Musk's Twitters or Instagram accounts, there's just constant imagery of the all-seeing eye, more than maybe any celebrity we've seen. Of course, she always is dragging Elon Musk around, which really just shows you that Maye Musk is Elon Musk's handler, which makes sense because most of the parents end up being handlers to their children. Of course, we've been presented Elon Musk in our society as somebody who has autism or Asperger's, and then they tell us he's the biggest genius that's ever existed on the face of the earth. And of course, the photo of them going to that Halloween party where he had the Baphomet costume on right in front of our faces. But if you don't know about the Moon Child and Maye Musk, you should learn about the Moon Child, because the Moon Child was the one who was destined to give birth to the Thelemic Messiah of the new Aeon, named Elion or Elon, which actually means God of the Most High. I'm sure that's just a coincidence as well. And I'm sure it's also a coincidence that if you don't know, Elon Musk's grandfather, Joshua Hallman, was one of the founders of the technocracy movement, which is a movement where a group of scientists run the world as authoritarian dictators. That's right. That's what the movement is. And it's a movement that went back to the 1930s, grounded in the belief that expertise and efficiency are imperative for effective government, and that the delegation of decision-making authority to a group of experts represents a superior alternative to electing politicians who may lack the necessary knowledge. Well, does that sound a lot like you to AI governance? Because that's exactly what it is. This is just pre that technology being out in public, in place where people are accepting of AI and accepting of technology. At that time, that was more of a movement where scientists would really be the government, where scientists would say, well, you can't argue this is fact, that is fact. And it's no different than the communist nonsense that we see in today's world in China and in other countries. But that literally right there, group of experts who represent a superior alternative to elected politicians, is what Klaus Schwab's artificial governance is. So back to the Moon Child. So the Moon Child theory, which isn't really a theory, it goes back to Aleister Crowley, as everything seems to do when it comes to all of these practicing witches and Satanists in our world today. Crowley's ideas are really what influenced the space race and NASA and what now we call SpaceX, which ironically, you actually hear more about SpaceX than you do about NASA. Anything that's going on with going to the moon and going to Mars and all this nonsense they try to convince you that they're doing goes to SpaceX, which is all we hear about. SpaceX launch, and not NASA actually doing it, which is interesting, right? But that's not coincidental either. So the foundation of Thelema, which is Crowley's magical religion that he formed, is based on the notion of a procession of symbolic periods throughout time. Now, in Crowley's Book of the Law, the central Thelemic text that we were entering was the Aeon of Horus. That's the one that we're in now, which is a time of rapidly advancing technology and a magical revival. Two of the people involved in that were Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard, who were both members of Thelema. They were Thelemites. They were heavily influenced by Aleister Crowley. Jack Parsons is known as the person who created jet propulsion engines, okay? Jack Parsons claimed that he had no prior knowledge of jet propulsion engines or anything to do with rockets, but he did have knowledge of what they call in-ocean magic. So with having no knowledge whatsoever, he then founded the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in 1936 with no knowledge at all of what any of this stuff actually was. So you see how this ties into magic and the occult? So Parsons wanted to help usher in the new age of consciousness. And that's where the ritual comes in, the Babylonian working ritual. The aim of the ritual was to produce a moon child in the flesh, the spirit of Babylon in the flesh. And Parsons and Hubbard and Crowley aimed to magically fertilize a magical child through immaculate conception, which, when born to a woman somewhere 9 months following the working's completion, would become the Thelemic Messiah. According to the books that they wrote, Parsons and Hubbard claimed that the ritual was successful, but it wasn't complete. The boundaries of space and time had allegedly been shattered by this ritual, which opened a portal, which facilitated, according to Parsons, the emergence of Thelema's Aeon of Horus. Now, in this period, he claimed that he invoked Babylon, and he spoke of the oath of the abyss. In the oath, Parsons professed to embody an entity named Armalis al-Dajjal, the Antichrist, who am come to fulfill the law of the beast 666. The Babylon working ritual was the culmination of Aleister Crowley's work. It was the pinnacle of the Thelemic great work. So, around that same time, on April 19th, 1948, Maye Musk was born. April 19th is a very important date to the occult. It marks the 13 days of preparation for which a topic I covered before, the Feast to the Beast. It is a day marked by massive human sacrifice. And that year, 1948, is also very symbolic because we know that a certain piece of land became a state in the year 1948, and it'll play a pivotal role in the coming of the Antichrist. Now, months after Parsons died, that's when NASA founder Wernher von Braun wrote Project Mars, which was a book about colonizing Mars led by someone named Elon. You could look it up yourself. You couldn't make it up if you wanted to. So if you look up who was the head of NASA, it was Wernher von Braun. He wrote a book called Project Mars, which was a book about colonizing Mars led by someone named Elon. Well, what does that sound like? Who's walking around with shirts that say colonize Mars, occupy Mars? Who's obsessed with Mars, tweeting about Mars almost every single day? Well, it's somebody named Elon, all right? It's Elon Musk. So it is believed by many that Maye Musk was that moon child spoken about through the Thelemic religion that they tried to birth in the flesh, Babylon in the flesh, to incarnate in the flesh, the spirit of Babylon. The moon child is believed by many to be Maye Musk, and now we're seeing it play out in front of us. Now we're seeing conservatives and Christians aligned with somebody who is trying to get technology inside of your body. He's literally trying to change what a human being is. This is the same guy who conveniently conservatives forget was telling everybody out there that he supported the magic potion when it came out, when Operation Warp Speed went down, Trump and Musk. And these are people that they think that they can trust because all of a sudden, what did they do? They saw the pushback from everybody out there and they said, you know what? To gain more trust of these people, you're going to have to align yourself with Jesus Christ. You're going to have to come out. You're going to have to profess God. You're going to have to talk about the Bible. You're going to have to stop and get away from atheism, Elon, because we need to get these people in with this AI age that we're ushering in and this AI governance. And that's where we are now, right? I often think about, I don't know if anyone out there has ever seen it, but the Church of NASA, the religion of science, where it's just a meme that's out there. They teach you your favorite alternate realities. You'll learn about their gods, ladies and gentlemen, because that's what it is. Saturn, Helios, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, Mars. I mean, all of this stuff is spiritual that's happening around us. But sadly, when you look at what people tweet about Elon Musk, because all of a sudden, if Elon Musk was a Democrat, none of these conservatives would be on board with this stuff. They'd be like, oh yeah, he's trying to get us to take technology under his hand. But all he had to do was stand on stage, stand next to Donald Trump, and say, I'm a patriot for free speech. Come to my platform, even though I still censor people over here who question the left-right paradigm and question that place that became a state in 1948. But this is a perfect example. Here's somebody that tweeted out, making America awesome again. This is what I signed up for. This is the feeling I remember as a child, watching the moon landings. This is what America's all about. God bless America. God bless Elon Musk. And that's the brainwave that people are operating on. Somebody living in outer space, literally. They're living in a different dimension mentally, where they're so excited that America's back because Elon Musk wants to go to the moon, because this person watched the moon landings as a child and doesn't even realize that the moon landings were completely fabricated. We're living in an alternate universe, ladies and gentlemen, one where Maye Musk is welcoming Elon's bromance with Donald Trump and says they just seem to be having fun with one another, right? all of a sudden, side by side, everywhere they go. Two people who were once Democrats. Elon Musk even recently tweeting out that the Democrats actually won the election because all the people in the cabinet, all the people that you're seeing as the face of the new conservative movement with RFK included, are all actual Democrats. And it's that easy to deceive these Christians because they've gotten so worked into the psychosis of feeling like they're victims, feeling like the government's going after them, which I'm not saying the government hasn't been going after people. They've been going after everybody. But they've been gaslighting them with stories about IRS agents. They've been shutting people's Facebooks down and Twitters down. And really what it should have led to is a separation from technology and saying, you know what, if I can't speak freely on here, then I'm getting off of this crap. And I'll speak freely in the world. And what are you going to do about it? But they expect you to continue forward with technology. And now you're supposed to be clamoring and drooling over Elon Musk because he's giving you a platform to tweet on, if you say the right things, of course, while he's telling you that it's time to get this brain chip inside of your body and a procedure that takes under an hour, or guess what? Doesn't even take under an hour. It could be implanted and injected inside of your body, which I've covered over on the website many times as well. So Maye Musk talking about the genius of the world. Is anybody seeing the signs yet? The humanity's collective consciousness is coming together. The Human Machine Collective, brought to you by your hero because he stands next to Donald Trump, Elon Musk. Wake up, ladies and gentlemen. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.